it started off with, oh, you don't.
So Dawkins is an agent of the Matrix. When Dawkins was sitting there saying, we do not need God.
I wouldn't credit him with that, to be honest.
He's not even that important?
No. Yeah, don't, you know, we don't need to overestimate people. Just a guy with things to say is what it's not really worth the chit-chat. But, you know, you don't need to belong to a country. What's a country? What's a flag? You don't need a flag. Flags are racist, don't have a flag.
Yep.
You don't need to belong to a family unit. Oh, what's a family unit anyway? It's not a mum and dad, it can be mum and 3 dads, it can be this and that. It can be, a family can be whatever you want it to be. Take away the things people belong to, and all of a sudden you just have nomads who are living in voids and are desperate for something. It's why these kids don't know even what they are.
And look who we've got today, an interview or a conversation between Katie Hopkins and the notorious Andrew Tate. Ooh, I hope I don't get in trouble for putting this on YouTube. As you can see, this is quite recent, maybe about a month ago, something like that. And Katie Hopkins went out to Romania to have a conversation with Andrew Tate, and we're right in the middle of it here. They mentioned Richard Dawkins, a notable... Well, apparently he's a biologist of some kind, but in the scientific sense. But he's made himself famous for being one of these new atheist promoters, and as a result, I think, partly responsible for the ongoing destruction and deterioration of Western civilization. In his case, in the UK. But he, along with who are the other guys? Well, Christopher Hitchens, now departed. So there's Dawkins, Hitchens, Sam Harris in the United States, and some other guy who just recently died too. They called themselves the 4 horsemen of atheism or something stupid like that. And Katie's pointing out that one of the results of this, a result of atheism, godlessness, this idea of ultimately destroying the patriarchy, which was the core and original objective of feminism, and of course Marxism, which is all about destroying the family unit so that the state can take its place. All of those, we are seeing the effects of all of those today in our society, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So let's listen in some more of this conversation and see what they have to say.
Because we stripped away everything that they may have belonged to or held on to.
Well, it gave them identity, and if you remove all the parameters,
all.
Then there's no identity, which means you can inject the slave programming.
There you go.
That's right. So empty minds, right?
And it was done deliberately. You could see this stuff being taken away. Oh, take those flags down. Oh, don't. Oh, it doesn't matter if you haven't got a mum or a dad. Oh, just strip away. So these kids are like, I'm lost. What do I belong to? Oh, maybe my name's Barbara today. I mean, for God's sake.
I agree. But do you not think that the Islamification of Britain is Christians' fault? Would you blame the Christians because power vacuums are filled and this is the basic law of the universe? The lion destroys the antelope and the strong conquer the weak. And if there's going to be weak convictions amongst the white Christians, if they're going to be too tolerant and too nice, don't you feel like eventually they're going to be conquered? Not only just by Islam, but they've also been conquered by secularism. You see all these gay priests and insanity and all the garbage that's going down. Wouldn't you blame Christians 100% for that failure?
I would say that Christians probably didn't rock up and, defend their churches enough by actually attending them.
Yeah, actually, Andrew Tate makes a very good point. If you want to maintain something, you have to defend it. You have to be strong enough to refuse to bow down to ideologies or social pressures that will destroy what you have built up. And like it or not, whether or not you call yourself a Christian, Western civilization is based on 3 key pillars, one of which is sort of our Greco-Roman philosophical and judicial underpinning, the laws that we govern ourselves by basically date back to that. The other is the nations, European nations in the sense of, the original sense of the word, peoples. A nation is a people, like a tribe. So an ethnic group which has a shared heritage of culture, language, religion, customs, etc. And the third pillar is Christianity in Europe. That's what it is. And that is our moral underpinning. A lot of people, atheists will say, well, I don't need Christianity to tell me that murder is wrong or that I shouldn't steal or hurt people. Well, actually, yeah, you do, because the reason you have that framework, the reason you have this morality, which you call non-Christian, is because of Christianity. Now, I'm not here to try to convert anybody, but that is it. And Andrew Tate's absolutely right. You have to protect these things, because if you don't, if you leave a vacuum and you accept things which are unacceptable within your framework, then somebody else will come in it and fill that vacuum for you. Same thing, you could say the same thing about feminism. Men allowed women feminism, basically, at the end of the day. Ultimately, it comes down to power, and men have power, like raw physical strength. When the shit hits the fan, I hope it doesn't, but if and when it does, that's what's going to happen. We're going to revert to society based on power, and I think we'll see some major changes.
I think attending churches
agree.
would have been a good way of kind of keeping that.
Yep.
But I think I wouldn't blame Christians for being taken over, because that would be like blaming my dog when it has ticks on it. And I wouldn't do that. But I would say we're clearly going to have very different views on religion. I will preface this with, I rather liked it, as with politics, back in the day when I believed in such things. I rather liked it when these things were private.
Yeah.
So I rather liked it when how they voted. My father would never tell anyone how he voted.
That's true, you're right.
And it was sort of glorious.
You're right.
And I rather liked it when people's religion was that way as well, because I'm not certain that it's my business, actually, what you do or don't. I don't really, just as well as sexuality, for that matter.
Agreed.
I'm not that bothered as long as you're not a twat.
Agreed.
If you're a twat, I don't care if you're a gay twat, a straight twat. I'm just going to tell you a twat.
Yeah.
And then I also see, so in America, when the very well-to-do, who are Biden voters, were actually terrified that Black Lives Matter were going to come and smash their homes, they got these yard signs, and they would hammer them into their yard.
I voted for Biden.
Yeah. This house believes they didn't have this accent, but go with Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, DBDBD, and they had it on a sign in their yards.
Stroking the alligator.
They were basically, stroking. Stroking is a good word.
Yeah.
Exactly, but a yard sign. So we go from my farm.
Oh, I remember visiting the States around those times and seeing plenty of those signs. Hilarious. In this house, we believe in science. Vaccines are safe. BLM is good, or whatever it is. Nobody is illegal. Blah, 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 blah. Americans love their yard signs.
Father, who doesn't even tell his family how he votes,
Yeah.
to Americans who voted Biden but are now scared of the very thing they voted for, so put a yard sign up to try and say, we're your allies.
Yeah.
Why are you anyone's allies? So, religion. I think by the time UK woke up to the fact that Islam will take the country,
Yeah.
it was way too late.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago, or maybe more, structurally, Islam did an incredibly smart strategic play, which was change the structural scaffolding that lies beneath the country and make it ready to receive Islam.
Yeah.
So make all power positions filled with Muslims, work your way up, councillors to mayors,
Yeah.
bring the power in, densely pack a Muslim population where there used to be big houses, 4 or 5 Muslim families in one place. Make sure you can always get the vote from the Muslims because they'll vote according to religion.
Yes.
And therefore you will get the powerful positions. Now we want to do strategic sort of landmarks. So I was Army Intelligence, but so you are always going to look for the places where you want to set your mark, regardless if there's a Muslim there or not. So if you look at the Outer Hebrides, there's a mosque up there.
Wow.
Was there ever a Muslim there? No, but there's a frickin' mosque.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So you set these places where you go, right, here we go. So I would call it infiltration. You might call it something else. And that's the point when eventually, like now, people are going, oh, hold on a minute. Well, this is a bit odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this is 20 years in the play.
Yeah, so she's right. This has been ongoing for decades now, and it's just becoming very, very apparent to the normies, although people have been calling it out. The forerunners, the have been calling this out for decades already. And, people will immediately say, oh, she's Islamophobic, she's just a hater, she's a racist, she's a whatever. But the fact is, Europe is for Europeans. There's not that many Europeans in the world, actually. They're a minority. People of European extraction are quite a minority in the world, a small minority in the world. And yes, people of European, Europe itself is not that big in terms of land mass and population. It's, has a decent population, but it's not massive. And of course, Europeans founded and created the Anglosphere countries, but they too are being invaded and infiltrated en masse by non-Europeans, and it shouldn't be allowed. The people who have allowed this to happen have, to put it nicely, dropped the ball. There's more powerful words you could use for it. But she points out a good thing. And Andrew Tate, if you know anything about Andrew Tate, he's notorious. He's a controversial figure, let's say that. He's calmed down quite a bit, I would say, in the last year or so in how he speaks in interviews and in public. But the things he's saying is right. If somebody else wants what you have more than you want it, then they're going to end up taking it. Whether whether it's the ball you're playing with or whether it's your country and your institutions, and you have to figure out, we as as descendants of the founders of European countries and countries settled by Europeans, we're going to have some hard decisions to make in the near future. So anyway, let me know what you think about that. I'm always happy to see Katie Hopkins, and I hope you are too. And it's always interesting to see Andrew Tate. he's always got something to say. So in the meantime, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel and helps me continue making content for you.